Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Andrew Discusses. I know it's been the first one I've done in a long, long time. But welcome back, everybody. What am I going to be discussing today? Well, believe it or not, Futurama's coming back. Yes, this is an interesting. This is honestly a story for the ages. This is the one that I'm hoping third time's the goddamn charm because nothing can last forever. Sure, I get that. Everything has its limits. I get that too. But Futurama was one of these series that seriously got screwed over not once but twice by two different networks. Originally, it aired on Fox, started in 1999. The second series from creator Matt Groening, the one that created The Simpsons. And this thing was just, it was a massively beautiful series. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. I love this. This is beautiful. And then all of a sudden, it just doesn't air half the episodes when it's supposed to. Yeah. You see, Fox decided in their infinite stupidity that at the time, hey, we're going to air this on a Sunday. Okay, that works with all of your other animation shows like King of the Hill, Simpsons, Family Guy. That's fine. The problem was they stuck it at a 7 p.m. time slot. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure there's a certain sporting event. It's 3 letters. They own a day of the week, and yeah, they preempted Futurama half the time. And of course, I'm talking about the NFL. So of course, with the NFL taking on Futurama and knocking it out of contention half the time, it wasn't airing. And then Fox is just like, yeah, the ratings aren't doing too good. We better get rid of this thing. Oh, the ratings aren't doing too good because half the time the episodes don't air. Or if they're supposed to air, like, oh yeah, all new Futurama tonight on Fox, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh look, football's run over because we have to have this, because they had to have their John Madden, or I don't know, it wasn't even John Madden, Terry Bradshaw and all the other ones on the OT over talking after the game, giving the highlights like, well, this happened, who cares? But that was the whole concept with, it's on a Sunday night. If they would have put it like at an 8:30 time slot, or 9 o'clock, I think Futurama might have survived a little better. Better yet, literally build it as a double billing of Groening and Groening, and had, The Simpsons, then followed by Futurama. It was like, come watch The Simpsons at 8 o'clock. Because Simpsons were always 8 o'clock on Sundays, every time. That was their key slot, 8 o'clock Sunday night Simpsons. Beautiful. I don't even know what it is anymore. I don't even think it's 8 o'clock anymore. I don't know. But it's like 8 o'clock was The Simpsons. They should have did 8:30. Come join us for Futurama. Because 7:30 was King of the Hill. So it's like, we're going to Texas for King of the Hill at 7:30. Then we're going to shoot to Springfield at 8 o'clock for The Simpsons. Then into the year 3000 at 8:30 for Futurama. All this coming up next on Fox. But of course, they didn't do that. That's what I would have done, because that would have broadened the horizon of this a lot more than it did. Of course, the downside of it was Futurama got screwed. Last season, I think it was like 4 seasons on Fox, with the next season coming out basically being their direct-to-video or direct-to-DVD movies, Bender's Big Game, The Beast with a Billion Backs, Bender's Big Score, Beast with a Billion Backs, Bender's Game, and then Into the Wild Green Yonder. And then Comedy Central, who released those, made them into just sliced them up into episodes. It's like, hey, Futurama's back. Hey, we'll take Futurama. And they took it for 2 more seasons, bringing it up to 7 total. And it's like, oh, yeah, cool. They did really good. But then Comedy Central screwed them over, because Comedy Central put it on a Wednesday night. And I think what their idea with that was we'll double bill this with South Park. It's like, here, we got South Park on. I think Futurama was on like 10:30. Or it came on at 9:30, and then South Park was on at 10. I don't remember which, but I think that was their plan, was that we'll just double bill this with South Park. The problem was South Park will just take the thunder from anything you shove at it, because that's your main staple show. And for a network like Comedy Central, that's honestly sad. I'm sorry, that's honestly sad and pathetic. That is your main staple of the show. Is South Park. That's literally the show that you're gonna go with. That's your main show is South Park on Comedy Central, which is sad. But then again, South Park lost me a few seasons ago, and I don't care how much like the old seasons are making the new one. I'm not going back to it. But with Futurama, this thing has been shrouded in a slew of issues. I mean, you had the Fox screwing it over. Then reruns were airing on Adult Swim for the longest time. God bless them, that was beautiful. But then I think it was the rights expired for that, so then they couldn't air the rights. They couldn't air the show anymore. So then that sucked. And then all of a sudden it's like it's just gone. But it wasn't gone from our memories. Those of us that loved the show still remembered it. One of my favorite episodes is The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings, when Fry wants to learn the holophoner because when he had worms in him, I was trying to remember what the name of that episode was. Oh God, I can't think of it. But he ended up eating a gas station sandwich, and it had space worms, and they basically massively upgraded his body, and he was able to play the holophoner. And apparently this is an extremely difficult instrument that only very few people in the world can learn, and even they suck at it. But Fry was able to do it like it was nothing, because the worms had, made him completely, they basically made him better than what he could have ever been. In all honesty, I'm sorry, let me just put it this way. If I were to have the space worms, and they're like improving my body, they're making me smarter, faster, stronger, and I can do stuff that nobody else could before, excuse me for a second, I'm going to jump on that. Because I'm just, the hell no, I'll take that. It's like the adipose from Doctor Who. Oh, they're the most kind alien in the world. They do nothing wrong. It's just lumps of fat that just, if you want to help make adipose, hey, that's fine. It's actually benefiting you, and you're helping to make adipose. That's fine. They're harmless creatures. The worms, they're basically harmless. What are they doing? They're making my body better. In this case, they're healing me instantaneously. So, and effectively, if you think about it, they're making you sort of immortal, because any damage you get, they'll repair, provided it's not massive, but at least, well, we don't know the extent of it was. But basically, Fry ended up getting the worms, was able to play the holophoner, and he impressed Leela. So in The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings, he wanted to, learn the holophoner because it had impressed Leela. However, he sucks at it. As the teacher puts it, he has dumb fingers. And even the Robot Devil said the same thing after Bender was like, I know where we can get some robot hands to help you out here, but we're going to have to make a metaphorical trip to hell. And by metaphorical, I mean literal, and by hell, I mean get your coat. And they go see the Robot Devil. And ironically, the Robot Devil has to give his hands to Fry so that Fry can, do the holophoner. And it's basically Fry out-deviled the devil because the devil got screwed. And it's a funny little play on the whole, the devil, you make a deal with the devil, you're the one that's usually going to get screwed. But in this case, Fry managed to, Fry's dumb luck out-deviled the devil. So that was really funny. Though I do like with Bender, come on, prostate exam robot. That would have been hilariously funnier. But yeah, basically, that's pretty good. But it brought about one of my favorite parts of Futurama. It's the one musical part that I really liked, where Fry's opera is playing and the devil's getting pissed off because he's making fun of him. Fry's making fun of the devil, and the devil ain't having this shit. So then all of a sudden it's like, no, you're not, this is a pain in the ass. I'm pissed off this. I want my hands back, and I want them back now. Because the devil's really pissed off. He's been trying to get his hands back from Fry. He screwed Bender over, deafened Leela by Bender, and just screws everybody over. So he finally realizes, I know how to get my hands back, and he basically confronts Fry with a dilemma. And it's one of my favorite parts. It's literally in Fry's whole opera. It's the best musical part ever, where Fry's like, Destiny's cheated him, but it's making him decide whether or not he should keep the Robot Devil's hands or lose the girl that he wants to impress, that he loves with everything. So in essence, he's basically given a choice between rock and a hard place. And it's freaking hilarious. And those were the decent episodes. Then you get Comedy Central bastardizing this, and it's like, what they do to my show. You had an episode with the Comedy Central era where Hubert overclocked Bender. There's an episode where where Mom creates the iPhone basically to screw people over into giving her more money and more control. The woman pretty much controlled everything. Why didn't she just become president of Earth and just get it over with? I mean, come on, she's the kindly old woman that, in public, the minute you turn your back, she's a snarling bitch. I would have just ran for office then and kick Nixon out. That would have been easier. Take over the entire world. Everything's done. No, she's like, I'll take over the world in my own way. And it's just like my robots, my 3 idiot sons. Yeah, why not? What the hell? But it's just, massively confusing, massively, annoying in a way. But that was the Comedy Central era. It wasn't the world's best writing. And especially the series finale. And I don't give a shit what people say about this. Okay? This is my thought on this. Both the finales that we have had so far for Futurama, from the Fox finale and the Comedy Central finale, sucked. Both of them. The Fox one just ends. There's really nothing pleasant about it. Unless that overclocking one might have been that might have been a Fox one. The overclocking one might have been a Fox one. I think that might have been the finale for the Fox era. But either way, the Comedy Central era just sucked. It was not the world's greatest in terms of just... It sucked. You had the whole time thing, which they'd screwed with twice before in the series, but ironically, one time before in that exact season, where the professor made a machine that only went forward in time. So then he, Bender, and Fry had to go around the universe twice because they screwed up, where it's like, okay, we're going to do this and slightly alter history. Well, yeah, Bender did slightly alter history the first time by stepping on the lizard. The professor altered history by shooting Hitler with a ray gun. And of course, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I would have loved to have seen the future where those two events didn't have any repercussions of a butterfly effect, but no, sure. No, we screwed up. Okay, let's go again. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, nope, I missed, and I ended up hitting, I think you said it was Eleanor Roosevelt. He missed Hitler. It's like, oh, that's not good. So we've already entered an alternate reality now where everything's not exactly the same as it was. Although Bender was pissed because they didn't want to stay in the future where robots had taken over everything. No, we're not going to stay in this apocalyptic hellhole. Why would we want to stay in this apocalyptic hellhole? But that pissed Bender off. And then Fry and the Professor wanted to stay in the times line with the very attractive, intelligent women. But it's like, oh yeah, no, we can't stay here. You guys didn't want to stay in the robot-controlled future. I am not going to let you guys have what you want. Hey, they might have had really attractive robot women there, Bender. You never knew. But, yeah. The sad part, though, is that the series ends just stupidly with Fry and Leela being stuck in a solitary moment in time and spending the rest of their lives in this solitary moment, only for the professor to show up at the end and go, okay, well, I've reconnected all the timelines together so we can finally find our way back, but we're going to end up having to we're going to end up having to go through the whole thing all over again. So it's basically like, yep. In other words, it's a constant loop. They say it elsewhere at the ending in a way, and it pisses me off. And it still does to this day. It always annoys me. But now we're getting a Hulu version of this. Now, to be fair, they have already had one massive issue, and that was Bendergate, because John DiMaggio did not want to return for Futurama because he felt like he was not being well compensated. And here's the thing. Okay, Billy West and Katie Seagal, and I said this in the podcast too, they could have taken the offer and been like, hey, that's perfect for us. That's fine. Because they know what they bring to the table. They know what they offer to the table. They know what they can do versus here's, the one that voiced Bender. Hey, I've done other stuff than Bender since then. I do a lot of other voices. He was Jake the Dog on Cartoon Network's, Adventure Time. he did a lot of other voices outside of Bender. So he's been busy in the voice acting community. So yeah, for him, I honestly do feel like he was not being well compensated. They were probably like, look, this was what Comedy Central was paying you. This is what we'll pay you. And it'd be like, no, you want me to come back? This is, my name is literally going to be bringing people in here. You're going to say, we have all the original voices. I mean, they got Phil Lamar, they got Katie Seagal for Leela, they got Billy West for Fry, Phil Lamar for Hermes, and all the other characters, and they finally did get Bender back. It's like that. Hopefully, that's the only controversy that they have going forward, the only issue, because I'm hoping for Futurama to finally get a reboot, to finally get treated with the respect that it deserves, for starters. It needs more respect. Futurama was screwed. It was horribly, horribly screwed by Fox. Horribly screwed by Comedy Central. Well, let's be fair. So, yeah, let's be very fair here. So Fox just basically bitch slapped it. Comedy Central bent it over a table and screwed it. And hopefully Hulu treats it with the love and respect it deserves. As much as I'd love to say, well, at least Hulu couldn't make it worse, be glad it's not Netflix. Netflix would make it worse. It's Hulu. Okay, Hulu really can't make it worse. They could try, but there's no guarantee they're going to make it worse. But Comedy Central, Comedy Central just basically took the series that Fox had bitch slapped, and they're like, oh, we'll take care of you. Don't worry. Come here. We'll give you the love and attention you deserve. Bent them over a table and just started screwing them. That was all they did. They just screwed them. The movies were not the world's greatest. They were all interconnected, so no duh. And it technically connected with the final episode in a way, the first one, which really is scary. Because they were literally all connected. And that's the sad point. Because then the end of Bender's big score led into the Beast with a Billion Backs, because he fractured all of reality, which ended up giving us Evo. Then, of course, the end of the Beast with a Billion Backs gave us the introduction into Bender's Big Game. And then, of course, Bender's Big Game led into the Wild Green Yonder. Everything it all flew together and it all merged together. So you would think, okay, well, those 4 movies weren't bad. Standalone, if you would have just shoved them all together and made a one giant Futurama movie, I would have said, yeah, it's passable. The plot would have been all over the place. It literally would have been like a 4-part thing, but yeah, it's passable. I would have been fine with it. It's passable. With a little more, they could have put like a little more effort into the plot then, fleshed some stuff out, broke it up into 2 parts, like Futurama movie part 1 and part 2, and I would have said, yeah, that's fine. That's perfect. Beautiful. Let's roll with it. As far as like a whole series is concerned, though, with Futurama, I would rather them not come back for a whole series. If we're going to get a full series, that's fine. If, Hulu's doing that, that's fine. We have no say in it. I would rather it just be a standalone movie and be done with it. Just give it its own standalone movie and call it a day. They deserve that much at least. You're looking at a budget here of, let's honestly look at this logically. So, recently I saw online that the live-action Avatar series that Netflix is trying to still get out on the floor, I'm hoping this thing dies too, but that was going to cost, I think they said like $17 million an episode. $17 million. It was going to end up bringing a budget for the whole series of about 200-something million. Which, if it would be animated, I would say, go for it. That's a freaking steal. And massively at that. That's a steal at that price. But as far as this is concerned, I don't see it being a steal. I see it being more of a middle finger. But imagine if each episode of Futurama were to be just about, I'm going to be a little more lenient or generous here. Let's say about $20 million an episode. Now that's for animation, that's paying the voice actors, that's paying the writing staff and everybody else. So everybody's being compensated here. So I'm going to be generous and go $20 million. Okay? And it's supposed to be 10 episodes long. At least that's what it was billed at. So 20 million times 10 would be 200 million. Okay? So that's $200 million for a 10 episode series. Now, for 2022, that's honestly not that bad. At least in hindsight. That's not, I mean, we're not asking the moon. We're not asking for, a crap ton here. It's feasible. It's feasible. I will give you that. It's feasible. Going into it futuristically now, or basically looking at this like 10, 20 years from now, that might be a little too much. From back in the 90s, or back in 1999, yeah, that would have been a little too much. As far as, like the whole movie is concerned, they could take that same budget. So let's say you have a budget of $200 million, and you put that into a feature-length film. You make it so that, hey, it's going to come out on this date. It's going to be, this long. That, in my opinion, would better equate the use of your time and effort. Make a full-length feature movie. See how much of the demand is still there for Futurama. And build off of that. Find a way to, either retcon the Comedy Central ending, which, please, for the love of God, retcon that, and bring out something different. That's the general idea that I would go for and that I would go on, at least in the long run of things. I wouldn't pull this song and dance of, well, I have an idea, but, or, I don't have an idea, but, and then just go that route. Because that's what I feel like they're going to do. Granted, okay, you're going to have decent writers, I'm hoping. Hulu at least has a shot at it, and we know that there's demand out there. I mean, look at Bendergate. That instantly told you there's still a demand. The problem is, I don't see a full series working anymore for Futurama, and that's the God's honest truth. Because like I said, you had Fox that basically bitch-slapped it, Comedy Central that fucked it, and now you're going to have Hulu either get the sloppy seconds from Comedy Central or hopefully treat it with the love and respect that this, that she needs. Worst case scenario, it's not, and it's going to end up bitch slapping her to screwing it more. I don't know which. Futurama is not a dime store whore. It's not something that you just, here's $10, it's not cheap and easy. It's something that there's still a dedicated fan base. It is a cult classic at this point. It's basically, look at what happened with Netflix doing the live-action Cowboy Bebop. That ended so horribly for them. By the way, I called that. I called that happening. That they had to cancel it. There's no season 2 of that. That was a one and done. First off, thank you, merciful gods for that. So that was done. But that's what happens when you take a cult classic and you bastardize it. Comedy Central bastardized it to their extent, but so long as Hulu doesn't bastardize it more, it should be fine. But at that same instance, instead of doing a full live-action, instead of doing a full animated series of it, I would just do a full-length movie. Give it the love and attention it deserves. Give it a final 100% beautiful story, and then leave the door open. Have an ending that's not, concrete, set in stone, and have it be slightly open that maybe, just maybe, we could greenlight a series from this. Let's see what the demand is for this style of writing. Worst case scenario, you're out how much money? You got streaming platforms that would put it up. It's you yourselves could just put it up at Hulu. It's like a Hulu, feature-length movie or something. You show it out to Netflix, Stars, all those other ones. I guarantee you would probably make your money back with ease. Throw it in theaters too while you're at it, just to for shits and giggles, and you'll probably make some money. I wouldn't doubt it. You might make some decent cheese because you know how the movie theaters would work, and this is how that always worked. The first week that the movie's in theaters, the movie theater's not getting the money. The studio's getting the money. It's from week 2 on that the theater gets the money. Because the first week, the theaters aren't making any money because, hey, guess what? Why should we make money when all we have to do is, No, it's got to go to the studios. They're the ones that are making the bank. So you figure, put it out in theaters for like 1 week only. You're screwing the theaters out of their cut, which you'd be doing anyway, or put it in for like 2 weeks. Have it be like, hey, cool, it's out in theaters. The first week, you guys get the money. The second week, just as the second week is starting, you announce, hey, it's going up on streaming services effective this Friday. Boom. You'll get the people that'll go see it quick in theaters, see if it's worth it, or they'll just wait and buy it on streaming services on Fridays. You got a cut of that cheese. And it's basically, that's how you're going to make your money back. I could definitely see you making at least $200 million back from this versus here's 10 episodes. We hope this will work. We hope this will be good. And in the long run, it might not. You don't know. We don't know. Who knows if this will work or not? But therein lies the issue because we don't know and you're hoping it will. There's no guarantee that it will. But I digress. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Are you looking forward to the revival of Futurama? Do you think Hulu's going to do it right or is it going to do it dirty? Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this has been Andrew Discusses.